One of the more interesting capabilities of Objective-C is the ability to extend the functionality of a class without subclassing. This ability is made possible by an Objective-C language feature called a category. A category defines new methods to add to a class. These methods can do anything that standard methods of a class can do, and also get inherited by any subclasses. Categories are defined in a manner similar to defining a new class. So let's create a new category on NSString to add some additional functionality. We'll go up to the File menu and select New, File. And from the CocoaTouch group, I'll select Objective-C Category and click Next. I'll give this category the name Additions. And we want to make sure that's on NSString. I'll click Next. Go ahead and create the file. So it created two additional files for me. Let me just move this into my strings group. A header file and an implementation file. Now, just like a class, if we want to define a new method, we first need to define a prototype in the interface. I'll give this method the name trimmed_string. Copy that and switch over to the implementation file. The Foundation Framework defines a class called NSCharacterSet, and we can use this to identify the whitespace characters in our string. So I'll say NSCharacterSet, and I'll call this whitespace. And I can use this convenience initializer whitespace character set to identify just the whitespace characters in my string. And I'll say return self, as self is the string that we actually want to trim. And we'll use NSString string by trimming characters in set. And we'll pass in the whitespace character set. So this will provide us a nice convenient way of trimming a string when we need to. I'll switch back over to main app. I'll add some logging, so I'll give this a header title of trimmed string. And I'm going to define a value with some leading and trailing whitespace. Let me just run this app again. We can see down here we have a string with some leading and trailing space in it. So let's call our new trimmed string method. If we compile that, we'll see we get a build failure. It says no visible interface for NSString declares a selector trimmed string. What this message is telling us is that the standard NSString doesn't know anything about this method we're calling. So instead we need to import our category header. Scroll back down, compile, and run. And now we can see we have a neatly trimmed string. Categories are a very cool and powerful feature of Objective-C. It provides a very elegant way of adding additional functionality to a class, and you'll often find good uses for doing so. But one thing to remember is that with great power comes great responsibility. Categories are global to your app, so you need to make sure you don't accidentally conflict with other category methods or inadvertently override a superclass method, as you'll undoubtedly run into some problems. I'd recommend reading Apple's Objective-C language guide entitled The Objective-C Programming Language for additional insights on categories.